Right up today, a new scope from the good folks at CVLife. They've sent another one out for us to review, so let's open it up and see what we have. All right, first let's take a look at the packaging in general, because it tells you a little bit about, are they worried about their product getting here, or if it's just really cheap and don't care so much. CVLife has always done a good job. This is the third one I've had of theirs, and they've all been packaged very well. So first, a simple thing, a plastic bag. That's a given. Just keep things from getting scratched up. That's good. Foam on the end to protect it from sliding this way, and foam on the end to protect it from sliding that way, but more important, to protect it from hits. That's important because the structure of the box, it's a nice heavy box, but the structure of the box alone, if you hit dead in the middle of these things, can't protect it from everything. So this foam will do a good job allowing it to give way a little bit each way. So that's good. They protect and support in the center here as well. So that keeps it up off one side and protects it again from sideways impact, especially like you can see a box could do this. Well, that foam gets in there and it protects it from doing that sort of thing. So let's take it out and see what we have. So here's what's inside the box. We'll start with the easy things. First, there's a wrench for adjusting the turrets. There's another wrench down here, and that's for the scope rings and mounts. They're decent enough scope rings. They seem heavy enough duty. There are 4 screws holding down each one. To me, that's a minimum to make sure you get even clamping pressure all the way around, and especially under higher recoil, so that's nice. Perfectly acceptable, I think, for this budget scope, and it's amazing for the price of this thing that it has the rings with it, so that's good. You have a sunshade. I haven't taken out the plastic yet because it was packaged onto the scope here and protected in plastic, and then it comes with the scope caps as well. Now I have that one off because I had to take it off to take this off here, but then you have the scope cap here on this end as well, so you have both of them, and that's nice, especially for the price again. It comes with 2032 batteries. It's eliminated 2 of them. That's really nice. I mean, I love my Arkin scopes that I have, but they don't come with batteries now. And here CVLife is really setting a standard on an inexpensive scope. Yeah, they still include the batteries. That's something to be said for them. Okay, so what else do we have? Well, we have, of course, our manual with specifications and use, things like that, basics as well. So let's take a little bit closer look at the scope itself. All right, so here's the scope out of the box, and let's take a look at some of the features. It's a 4:16 variable scope by 50 millimeter objective. And so that covers a lot of needs, going up to 16, so that's not bad at all. Certainly be good for a lot of hunting applications, but general target range, shooting steel, etc., that range is not a bad range at all to be in. Now, it is an illuminated reticle, as I mentioned before. It has 5 levels of red and 5 levels of green. And it comes with the batteries I mentioned to do that. So that's really nice to have it right away. It is a adjustable objective, so you can parallax and correct for distances and really focus in on the target. Now, this one has a 10-yard markage, but what I've seen on previous CVLife scopes is it'll focus down below 10, and it goes down about halfway between that and the stop. So we'll have to see how far it'll focus down. But going to 10 yards and even a little bit less makes it really attractive to air gunners, not just target shooters, not just hunters. That makes it nice for air gun shooters as well. Now, the turrets themselves. These are really nice adjustable turrets. So you lift up, turn them, push them back down, and they lock in place. So you can't knock them out of adjustment when you're carrying the rifle or manipulating the rifle in any case. To reset your zero, you just simply unscrew this one screw, and they provide the wrench for that over here, and you lift that up, turn it, put it on 0, push it straight back down, and then you can tighten that up and you're all set to go. That's simple, effective, and I like that design. It's pretty robust. Now we'll see how tactile they are, how loud you hear the clicks, how solid you feel the clicks. We'll check that in just a minute. But overall turrets, these are like the others that I've seen in this series. They're pretty solid, especially for the money. And so that's a really good feature set. It has an adjustable objective here, so we can focus in for individual eye needs, and that's it's a given, but it's not on all scopes, and so it's nice to have there. We'll check how it feels as well. So let's play with these turrets a little bit and see what you think. All right, let's take a quick look at the turrets, and I'll show you how these adjust. So, again, they are locked down, and they're solid here when you try to turn them. But all you do is lift them up, turn them, and let me see if you can hear that. I'll get close to my microphone a little bit. I hope you can hear that okay. They are tactile. You can hear it. They're not really loud. That's not so bad, but you can feel it and really feel it well. I don't really notice any significant backlash here or movement between the clicks. And that, that is important to make sure it repeats well. But also when you lock it down, it doesn't move. I mean, it's solid as a rock. So that is really good, especially in a budget-oriented optic. So that's good. That's on the elevation there. Let's check windage. Same thing. It might be just a little more audible on windage, but very similar. And then locks down, solid as can be. And then really not any significant backlash here when you move it. So it's hitting each position and locking in. So that's good. And then just push it in to lock it down. So that's nice. Is it as perfect as some of the high-end scopes? Of course not. But it's perfectly acceptable, I believe, the way it's working. Now, we'll check tracking and all when we eventually get this out to the range. That won't be today, but we'll have another video with all three of their scopes out at the range. So that part's pretty good. Now, what about adjustment of focus, or distance, I should say here, or magnification? Nice. Okay, it's not too stiff. A lot of the scopes I have, the higher end scopes, are really stiff until you use them a long time. So this one is a good compromise, I think. It's not going to move around, and yet you can move it precisely and easily in that range, and it's going to stay put. So that's nice. The adjustable objective, it also is very, very smooth and how it adjusts. Now, it's easier than some to adjust, and so you can imagine the farther you get out, it seems like it moves a little easier, and it's a little bit tighter as you get closer in. So I'm not sure that this is not maybe on the border of being too easy to adjust, but I think it's perfectly acceptable. It's one of these things, once you set up for your vision, you forget it, right? And so we'll see how that does after shooting it a while. We'll adjust it to my eyes, and then we'll see if it stays there. But I think it will. Not too bad. And so overall, this is a pretty decent scope as far as performance and features go. But let's take a look on some other things. So mass, how much does it weigh? 23.56 ounces is the official listed weight on that. That's not too bad. It's not the lightest scope in the world for a 16 power scope, but it's also not the heaviest by far. And so it's probably a good compromise. If you wanted an all-out lightweight hunting scope, it's not a bad choice, but it's not the lightest choice. But I'm not really so concerned about that. I want something that's a little more rigid, even if it has weight to it. So we'll see how this pans out, but the weight is not bad at 23.56 ounces. Tube diameter, this is a 1-inch tube, okay? So we'll see how it gathers light, how well it does there. I suspect with 16 power it'll be just fine. Now, the one thing the tube diameter does limit you on is travel adjustment, okay? Not a problem, but it just depends on the intended use. And this is probably not an extreme long-range scope. In fact, it's not, because it has plus and minus 25 MOA in elevation and in windage. Plus minus 25 in windage is plenty. Plus minus 25 in elevation, you could run out depending what kind of shooting you're doing. For instance, if you're going to shoot 22 long rifle to 400 yards, which we do at our range, 25 MOA won't be enough to get you there. You'll have to hold way over. Now, you can put a 20 or 30 MOA rail on your gun, and then the 25 it'll get you close, but it probably won't be quite enough. For most shooting, this doesn't matter. If you're shooting out to 200, 250 yards or so, you're probably never going to run out of elevation, okay? And that's going to be a pretty common range for most applications. It's when you get to bullets that have really high drop, like a 22 long rifle at distance, where it's really, really slow and falling fast. This may not be your best choice. For almost everything else, this is a good choice. You're going to shoot 223 at the range, 5.56, it's a good choice. 308, 7.65 Creedmoor, etc. 200 yards, 300 yards, you're not going to run out of elevation with that. So it's a pretty good choice overall. If you're going to shoot 100 yards and in, it's a real good choice. right? For a lot of different guns, a lot of different calibers. So not too bad. I just wanted you to see that that is a small limit. You have 25 MOA plus and minus adjustment. Now, like I say, you could put an elevated rail, let's say a 30 MOA rail on there, and then you're going to get, depending on how you zero it out, 40, 50 MOA up. Okay, so that's how you play that game. And so you can make it work, I think, without a problem. It's pretty good overall initially on the bench. Let's see if we can get some pictures through the tube. I may have to do that outside. I'm setting up a new setup to do that outside, but we'll see what we can do here real quick. Okay, this gives you a good idea of what the reticle looks like. A simple reticle has nice subtensions, but very, very useful. It really has the mill dot sort of in the middle there, and it's very easy to see. Now, we'll look at it more outside, and we'll use it more outside when we get to that part of the range video. That'll be, like I said, a separate video to come. But it's clear, it's easy to see, it's not so cluttered it's going to get to be a distraction. A lot of the reticles out there, the Christmas trees, sometimes they become, I like them, but sometimes they're a distraction. This scope is built to get on target, hold over where you need to, and hit your target. It's a very simple reticle. I like that part of it. Okay, so let me turn on the illuminated reticle, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, there you can see the red illumination. It gives you red or green. Now, in this picture, at least what I can see, the reticle appears to be brighter at the top than the bottom. That is not the case. It's just related to how the camera is adjusted and things in that range. But the red is nice and clear. This is the brightest level. It doesn't wash out, which a lot of them do. Now, will this be daytime bright? Yeah, I doubt it. It'd be enough you'll probably see it, though, against a black target, which is really useful to me, being more of a target shooter. But in the dusk, or dawn time frame, especially near dusk, if you're out hunting, you're going to be able to see this just fine. Let me pause here and we'll turn it to green. I'll be right back. All right, there it is in green at its brightest setting. Again, perfectly fine illumination. It does, again, appear to be brighter at the top, but I can tell you with my eyes, it's not, again, camera related. But the other levels going up, you have 5 levels of brightness, so you can adjust it fine. I found anything from really, well, basically 1 and 2. In my vision, I found it a little hard to see. 3, 4, and 5, clear distinctions on brightness and easy to see. But again, this is my vision. And this comes from a guy that's partially red-green colorblind. So don't take it for what it's worth. It's just a level of brightness that I can see or not see. And I see green better in these type of situations than the red. But nonetheless, both are still visible to me, even with those vision challenges. And so it's perfectly acceptable. It'll do its job. You'll be able to see and get on target when lighting is not so good. And that's the whole purpose of an illuminated reticle. For me, like say times in the daytime, I'll just be using it against when I have an all black target and it's hard to see. Well, this helps a lot. But then in dusk and dawn type situations, it'll really help. So a pretty good feature. Let's go back and take a look at the scope overall. All right, so first impressions of the CVLife 4-16x50 scope. Pretty good overall. Just like the others in the series, this has really good turrets for the money. You can lift them up. The adjustments are, they click, they're audible and repeatable. Not much, if any, backlash or play in them at all. And when you push it down, it locks completely solid. You can remove the screw and zero it quite easily. Just lift it up, put it on 0, drop it back down. And both windage and elevation are the same. Windage may be slightly louder, but it's hard to say. It's a bit subjective there on the clicks, but nothing wrong there at all. Adjustable objective, below 10 yards, okay? That's nice for you air gunners out there. I think this could be a really good choice for air guns, going from 4 to 16 power, so you could zoom on in and plenty enough for 25, even 50-yard shooting. So that's not bad, and it's really nice then, like say, going below, because a lot of the contests are at 7 yards, and you need to be able to focus on that. So pretty good, pretty good. Magnification adjustment, really, really nice. Very smooth, stiff, but not too stiff, and definitely not too loose where you're going to bump it and move it around. So that's really nice. Eyepiece adjustment, fine, very smooth, very precise. Maybe just a little too easy to adjust on my liking, so we'll see. I don't think it's going to drift out in use, but it is easier to adjust than some, but it's so smooth, it's really nice. So not too bad there. The one thing that can be limiting, depending on your application, how you're going to use the scope, is it has 25 MOA of adjustment, up and down, plus or minus 25 MOA, both in elevation and in windage. So again, if you're going to shoot 22 long rifle, 200 yards and beyond, you're going to want, and you should probably want anyway, a 20 or even a 30 MOA base on that gun, because of the drop in a 22 is excessive when it gets out there, let alone shooting beyond that. So almost any kind of shooting, when you go past 50 yards, honestly, with a 22, you're probably going to want to put a 20 or 30 MOA rail on it. And then this would probably give you still plenty then, because then you would be basically be zeroing down. So you might only have 10 down, but you might have 40 up, and it gives you that kind of flexibility. Windage at 25 MOA, I don't think that's ever going to be a problem. The illuminated reticle, really nice, really clear. 5 levels of red, 5 levels of green. I can't complain. It looked fine to my eyes. I think the video, you see a little bit of glowing edges and stuff like that, but you really don't see that with your eye. It's just the way the camera was zoomed and the limited adjustments that I have there. So not too bad. Glass clarity indoors is really bright and nice, and like the other CVLife scopes I've tested, outdoors it's really nice, but we'll see, right? And then we'll check eye relief and things like that when we get to the actual range. But for first impressions, pretty good. You guys can check these out. There are different places to sell them. Amazon's as easy to find them as anywhere. I don't have an affiliation. Again, they provided this to the channel for review, but there's no other affiliation there. And so I'll tell you what it is. I'm trying to be as honest as I know, right? I mean, just trying to be honest, period, I should say. And so we'll see. We get to the range. We'll do some tracking tests and some other things like that. Pretty good. Really good for the money. I anticipate to be using this for several years to come. And I do appreciate them sending it to the channel. We're going to keep testing it, and we'll see how things go with time on it as well. So I hope you like this. If you do, look forward to the range videos. I'm setting up a new testing rig so we can do the tracking and things like that. When we do that, we're going to check all these CVLife scopes, all 3 of them, and track them that way and to see how they do. And we'll put them on rifles, get them down range, and get some shooting done with them. After all, that's what they're made for. So if you like this and you haven't already, I'd ask you to give me a like and subscribe, and we'll catch you later.